didn't tell anybody I was gonna. Usually I set up in advance.
Yeah.
But I think that's good, right? I think we're good. Right?
Cool.
A little bit. Are we a little close?
Yeah, we're
Okay, we're
mostly
good. All right, so I'll start it off. And my mic got jacked up too, so it's stress. All right, guys, how's it going? This is Dante on our episode of Why Date Season 3. I think this is episode 7 or 8. Can't really too. I have a podcast episode I just done a couple days ago with Ruby. So I am doing another episode, like a back-to-back, like Lethal Weapon back-to-back. But a little back-to-back series here, and I actually have another speaker on here, guest speaker on here. I'll explain a little bit more about him. But before I get into it, I have some announcements, things I'll go into before I start my episode. Just letting you guys know that Why Date is going to be on Spotify. It's on Spotify currently. I just checked. And I'm excited because it just took me a while I guess Spotify is doing a new type of system where it's now finally going towards podcasts for Spotify. So we're on there. I'm still on SoundCloud. If you guys haven't done so, follow us on YouTube. Why Date Podcast is on YouTube. And then we got also my our portals, Apple, Google Play, just to keep you guys informed. And I will probably post something about that later on in this week and give you guys a little promo of what's going to happen in the next couple of months. We're going to probably jump into the season 4 at some point after season 3. But this is kind of letting you guys know I am doing a solo currently. There is going to be Max Savage. He's if you guys are just now tuning in, co-host was Max Savage. I had a partner, but he's not here. I've just been doing it on my own, but just bear with me, guys, if I haven't been posting anything like up to date as quick as I should, but definitely apologize for it. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's awesome because I am stoked about what's the next couple of months is gonna look like in Why Date. So just tune in there, guys, and I'm gonna do a recap of last episode. I know that my guest speaker wasn't on, but I will ask a question about the last recap. But pretty much I had was Ruby Lee I had on there, and she was also a dating coach. She was on there, and she made a post about it was talking about rejections, and a lot of things hit me and it made sense to me. I'm not sure, I'll probably destroy it with that. I haven't even posted the episode yet. I haven't posted the episode of that yet, but once I do, I will we'll dissect it. But pretty much what she said, what stuck to me was there's different types of forms there's a cold rejection and there's a warm rejection. Never heard that before, ever. Like, it's new to me. So, but I guess pretty much the definition of that was cold is kind of like the cold-hearted, like walking up to somebody, reject. Warm is kind of like a hot one. Is more of like they built a relationship and they just figured out that that's not the person they're looking for. And they kind of it's counts as rejection or is not interested. And I guess for us men, what she posted is that the cold kind of hits the men harder because our ego. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but and then hot kind of hurts more of the women because they built a relationship with them. So I could be wrong, but that's what she said, and I was like, that makes sense. I never thought of it that way, but I know us men we have that ego, and we're like, yeah, me make fire, yeah, we cook, we do things like so. I guess it makes sense, LOL. Yeah, I know, I'm weird. We're on live too, so. But thank you guys for all the love too. I'm gonna be selling some shirts too for $25, and I'm not sure how it's gonna work for the taxing and shipping. It might be different, but we're gonna have some Why Date shirts. Send me a DM if you guys are interested in supporting some Why Date gear. I know last episode I had a DC shirt on. That's not a Why Date shirt, but it was a good shirt. I had to wear it, and I also have. I'm gonna make this pretty short, because it's Game of Thrones today, and it's the final season, first episode, and I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. I did a really early episode today, so I'm going to make this short. But let's get into it. I'm going to bring up my guest speaker. Me and him had a couple conversations over on our Facebook group page, our dating Facebook group page that I'm on, and we connected thoughts, and he's also is a dating coach as well. Now, Ruby was more of her niche was finding good intentional guys and finding partners for them, and also helping and coaching them. I'm gonna bring up my man Greg up here. He also has much to tell, much information to give up to you guys. I want you guys to definitely tune in because this season I'm really gonna have more of the expert professionals on here. I know the different seasons, but I'm actually gonna open up to more of the professionals. So, I'm a step side. I'm no professional. I know everyone keeps asking me questions every day. I get DMs about like, oh, what do I do in this situation? I'm like, I'm not really a dating professional. But I got one for you guys. So I'm bringing him up here. He's on live stream too. Give a little bio about yourself, Greg. Let him know what's up. The mic is yours.
Cool. So yeah, I created the company I have. It's called Debug Dating, and I'm a coach for online dating.
Oh.
So I say that because I'm not the kind of guy who says, okay, man, come with me. We're going to walk into a coffee shop. You're going to pick out the cutest woman in the room, and I'm going to teach you how to get a number. I don't do that myself. I frankly can't do that myself. So I'm never going to be teaching men to do that. But most people I talk to actually don't do that either. And they're like kind of terrified at the idea of, okay, so I'm going to walk up to the woman I find most attractive in the room and hit on her and do that until I can do it like confidently. Can I just shoot myself first so I can save the trouble? So, most people I talk to, particularly most guys, they're like, that one, that sounds terrifying. 2, that doesn't actually sound fun. And 3, I'm actually not into the just like cold approach of like, wow, you're pretty. Hi. So
it's hard to do for us.
Well, and also like for me personally, I really want to be able to go like, yes, looks matter. Looks matter a lot. Yeah. But I really also want to be like, okay, do you have the qualities that I'm looking for? And so if she's a 10 and she also, hates all the things I'm into and loves all the things that I don't, I don't really want to approach her and like spend all that energy. Yeah. So for me, online dating has always been the way that I've gone for my own dating. Yeah. And many years ago, a friend of mine was lamenting dating as you do. Yeah. He's talking about going to clubs doesn't work and going to bars and I do this and I do that and I'm just like, that's terrible and I get it. And he keeps going and kind of, that's awful. Yeah. And he runs out of steam. And I said, man, that sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah. By the way, you didn't mention anything about online dating. How's that going? Yeah. And he looks at me, and podcast viewers, I will do my best to give you the expression I'm making. He gets furious. He just goes, and he's like grimacing, and I'm like, what the hell did I just step into? And he goes, Greg, online dating doesn't work for me. Online dating doesn't work for any of our friends. Online dating doesn't work for anybody but you, so stop suggesting that I do online dating. And I'm like, okay, how about them Dodgers? Because we're in Southern California at the time. This was many years ago. And I'm just like, what the... okay, subject change. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to deal with this. And so I thought it was interesting because, one, our friends had met people online. Yeah. 2, it doesn't work for anyone is complete crap, like we've seen the statistics. Yeah. But 3, it only works for you, Greg. And I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? Like, I see a woman I like, I message her, she doesn't answer. What are you talking about? And so I'm a nerd, in case it's not obvious from the shirt that I'm wearing, Superman. Which, by the way, podcast audience, I'm wearing a Superman shirt.
Yes.
And so being a nerd, I'm like, instead of, oh, okay, whatever, you're just crazy, I go research it. So I start interviewing a bunch of guys and some women too, and I'm asking them not just how does online dating go for you, but also what do you do and what are the results of that and what were you trying instead and how do you think about it? And as I keep doing this research, what I find is that my friend is actually partly right. Yeah. I do online dating differently, and it actually works better for me than actually most people I interview, even the hot women. Yeah. Now, mind you, they get way more dates than I do, but they don't get more relationships. Yeah. And so I was like, whoa, okay. Like, yes, friend is totally crazy for the most part, but like there is something here of, I do this differently, I think about it differently, and as people are telling me that, well, I put up this photo of me and my best friend, I'm like, no, don't do that. And then, another one, like, their profile is basically, no cheaters, no gold diggers, no this, no that. I'm like, no, don't do that. And this trend just keeps happening where I'm just like, don't do that. Yeah. And So finally, after doing enough research, I kind of look back at it and process it.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, there's actually something for me to teach here.
Yeah.
And so I started helping people, mostly men, but women as well, with how do you make online dating work?
Yeah.
Because so many people, we approach it, and this is very human, by the way, we approach it as, I'm me. So like, okay, classic example of this. If I show you a photo of your class photo, let's say your high school class photo, how many people were in your class, your graduating high school class?
Man, a lot of people did graduate. About 500 maybe.
Okay.
That's.
So yeah, out of 500, you pick yourself out maybe like 2 or 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, there I am. Even like a smaller number, like a group of 10, you immediately go, me.
Yeah.
A stranger can't do that. You give them a minute and a half, they can't even do that. Because they're just looking at you going, I don't know, I see a bunch of dudes that all look kind of similar. Which one are you? And that's the thing. Like, women do this too, by the way.
Yeah.
And the reason we do it is we are very good at recognizing ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get into the mindset of a stranger who is not.
Yeah. Doesn't know who you are at all.
And who has all of this, who doesn't have all of the context that you do.
Yeah.
So the other, the group photos are a classic mistake that everybody makes. But the other one that I see, which is finally going away, is childhood photos. So people put up a photo of themselves when they're like 4, 5, 6 years old. And it's the weirdest thing because you as the viewer, you're like, okay, hot woman, hot woman, hot
Baby.
woman, 4-year-old. What? and the reason is she has all this context of, that's when I was 4, I'd just gotten into grandma's cupboard, and it was this really awesome story, and so she has this, like, it's really a warm, awesome feeling, which you have none of. And so we do that all the time.
Yeah.
This is why women and men actually put on their profiles, don't message me if you're a gold digger, don't message me if you're a cheater, don't message me if you're full of drama.
Yeah.
Because from their perspective, they have the context of, oh my God, so many of these people, I don't want them. But as a stranger, it's like walking up and being like, wow, I hate your hat. It's just like, what? What? But that's my point. It's like,
that, though.
why would you walk up and immediately say, even if it's not your hat, oh, I hate Dodgers. Like, it doesn't even matter if you like the Dodgers. You're like, I mean, I hate him too, but that's not how I introduce myself. So, that kind of mistake comes from seeing your profile, making your profile from your perspective instead of the stranger's perspective. Yeah. And that's one of the things, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I coach people around, but that's one of the classic ones that causes so many of these profile screw-ups. Oh yeah, this is me and my 12 best friends, or this is me in a bridesmaid photo, and you're just like,
oh, you see,
I can't recognize you. I don't even know which one you are.
So I'm sure you see a lot of clients that come in there and they show those type of pictures. You're just like, yeah, this is why you're. And have your clients ever tell you like, oh, I always tend to get hookups and I don't look for hookups?
Yes.
Okay.
So I do tend to work with guys and women that are looking for relationships, partly because a lot of the time they're honestly better clients. Yeah. But one of the things that has come up a number of times is clients say, okay, I'm getting dates and I'm even having sex with those dates, but it's not like amazing, and it's just kind of like, okay, that was fun, like hit it and quit it and you're gone. Yeah. And they're literally saying like that's fun. I'm past that point. I want to find a girlfriend. I want to find a boyfriend, whatever it is that they're looking for. And so, there's definitely a lot of times where either people are just, I mean, most people come to me with, I can't get dates, period. My last date was 6 months ago. It was 6 years ago.
Wow.
Like that kind of thing.
Wow.
But as we work together, then it's often, okay, I'm getting too many dates that aren't good enough quality. And so I actually tend to think of having a challenge in dating is actually 2 phases. Phase 1 is I can't get dates, full stop. Yeah. Phase 2 is I can't get the right dates. Yeah. And I work with men and women in both.
Okay.
And usually what happens is they move from phase 1 to phase 2 if they weren't already in phase 2. Yeah. And then in phase 2, we help them get, okay, let's actually get you fewer dates that are better quality.
Better quality.
Yeah.
And now some of your clients, are they already open to online dating already to begin with? Because I know most people have just a stigma of just doing online dating. They're just like, no, they think of like Tinder, they think of Bumble. Yeah. So they think of that as like online dating, but there's more to that. There's also like Instagram there's also, you know, ways you can meet people through there, and I think that's also the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure, do you open them up to, or are they already coming to you seeking?
They pretty much always are already like,
okay.
you know, I'm using Bumble, I'm using Hinge, I'm using OkCupid, whatever it is, and it's not working.
Yeah.
There are a few cases where I've had people that are like, you know, I've just started dating again, I'm thinking of setting up a profile, and then they come and work with me.
Okay.
Probably 90%
really?
Are, you know, I've been doing it for 6 months or 6 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I don't know why. I'm at the end of my rope. What do I do?
Yeah.
And so, you know, sometimes it's, I meet them through a workshop that they attend. Sometimes I'll actually even say, you know, come to this workshop I'm doing, because I do workshops like once or twice a month. And that's a way for people to get like a little bit of a quick tune-up.
Yeah.
And then also, if they're like, wow, this helped, let's go deeper, then I can, you know, talk to them through that.
Wow. Okay, well, that's pretty cool, man, because I don't know if you kind of shined a little bit, mentioned a little bit what made you decide to become a dating coach.
Yeah. It really was seeing that I was doing it so differently.
Yeah.
Because I'd say almost all of the long-term relationships I've had have come from online dating.
Okay. So you have a little more experience in...
Well, and not just experience of like, I've done it and it's sex, but like I've done it and it's worked.
Yeah.
And so then, like I said, after doing all that research from my friend's comment, I kind of went, okay, I do this differently, it works better.
Yeah.
I also think about it differently, which is a whole other subject to get into. And so, you know, I talk to so many people, both men and women, they're just like, online dating is awful, it sucks, I quit. And then they go to, you know, I'm going to bars and clubs and meetups, and that doesn't work, it sucks, I quit. So then they're back to online dating, and they just hop back and forth. And I'm like, that you need to actually change something, not just try one thing, try the other, try one thing, try the other.
They work, it's just, you just have to work it the right way.
And that's the thing, actually. So, you know, total random tangent. I'm also a fire dancer.
Oh, wow.
Like from Hawaii, you know, that kind of fire dancing.
Oh, I think I've seen. Okay.
Yeah, you've seen probably one or two.
Yeah.
And one of the things people ask me about that is like, oh my God, isn't that so dangerous? And I'm like, well, honestly, it's dangerous if you do it dangerously.
Yeah.
If you do it safely, I think I've had like, actually I've had 3 injuries over almost 10 years of fire dancing.
Oh, wow.
Because I do it safely.
Yeah.
And online dating is the same in the sense of if you do it well, it works. But if you do it bad, it will not work. I mean, the odds are a little better if you're a very attractive woman. Yeah. But still, you know, we're talking like 20% chance versus...
Most guys are swiping usually for just the looks itself. And I think that's... Now, from what I heard from so many people, like what they've told me about like just Tinder, Bumble, like... Now, for people who, like I said, who aren't at that attractive level, like that 10 or that, you know, that who 9 or 10. Put
awful stuff up, and people are still just like, oh,
yeah, right?
Yes.
What advice do you use to give them? Like, I know that, you know, what do you help in that situation? Because they're not really confident in themselves. They know, like, oh, I don't believe I'm a 10, like, you know.
There's a bunch of different things, but kind of the highest level is really thinking from the perspective of, let me ask you this. Would you say more men or more women listen to your podcast? Or is it like really 50-50?
A lot of men, or a lot of women started listening because they want to hear from a guy perspective.
Yeah, that's why my podcast exists too. So yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like, okay.
Okay, so for the guys, what they want to do is think about, you know, what's the woman that I want? Like, what's the quality she has? And then a woman with those qualities. So I'm no longer trying to think of like that blonde or that brunette, but like a woman with who's, I don't know, let me think, what would be some for me? A woman who is really excited about learning, who's really curious, and who is also really sensual. Those are 3 of my top ones. So a woman like that, so I'm no longer thinking about that woman or that woman, what would she like about me? Because then we're getting away from like, describe yourself, and you're like, I mean, okay, I like to drink, I like food, like none of that's useful. So instead, you say, what are the things that this woman who is sensual, curious, and interested in learning would like about me? And then I go, oh, well, 1, I am all those things, which is often the case. You usually want a mirror of yourself in some ways. But also, I like to teach. And so if I can talk about, you know, hey, I teach, you know, online dating, I teach some other stuff, and I teach fire dancing, that's going to be something that she's going to respond to with like, oh, really? Because I like learning. Tell me more. But if I just talked about who is Greg, I probably wouldn't mention those things until I got pretty far down the list.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't come up. Like, how often do I do those teaching? Well, I do a lot of coaching.
Yeah.
But how often do I teach fire dancing? Pretty rare. How often do I teach the other stuff? Even more rare.
Yeah.
So, when I'm actually thinking about what's going to attract her, I'm going to talk about those things. And this isn't being dishonest. This isn't me going like, well, I have a Porsche. No, I don't.
Wink.
Exactly. It's not that kind of, like, you're not making stuff up.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're choosing what are you going to show.
Yeah.
Am I going to lead with, I totally love reading science fiction. I want to go see the next Avengers movie. Right. That's, see, for you, we're not going to date, but like that kind of thing, you're like, yeah. And for me, if I'm going to, describe myself, probably going to start with, I'm a coach, I'm a designer, and I love science fiction, and I love Burning Man, and like, that's all cool.
Yeah.
But most of that's not going to attract the kind of woman that I want.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest mistake I see everybody, not just men, but everybody make is they're just sort of like, here's me. And the problem is then you're showing the stuff that is attractive buried in the stuff that is not attractive. So, for most men it's, I love drinking, or better yet, I love beer, which particularly is not something most women are going to be like,
yeah, I totally love beer.
Maybe craft cocktails, but like not beer. And then, I love sports. Again, most women are not going to be like, oh, wow, let's go watch the Warriors. Yeah! And to be clear, you might be the kind of guy who's like, but it really matters to me that my girl wants to watch the Warriors or wants to drink beer with me.
Yeah.
And I would then say, are you sure about that? Like, just hypothetically, if you found the perfect woman and she was like, I don't really want to drink beer, but you know what? If you want to go drink beer, I'll come with you and I'll get a wine.
Yeah.
Would you be like, no, bye, we're done? Probably not.
Yeah, you'd
probably
all right.
be like, all right, you know what, honey? That's cool. Thanks for compromising, which is what a relationship is. Same thing for, the Warriors. Maybe she's like, if you want to watch that, okay, I'll put on headphones and like sit next to you and do something, or maybe I'll come to you with the game because the game is fun.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go every time. And you're like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Compromise.
So, a lot of guys think that way. They're like, man, if a girl could just watch the same things that I do, that's like, oh, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. And by that same token, if you would just watch Gilmore Girls, Sex and the City, I actually don't know a lot of other ladies shows, but
Twilight, all right.
Sure, Twilight. And if we could go shopping together every weekend, and let's see, if you'd help me do the grocery shopping, like what other stereotypes can we throw in here?
Yeah, right.
But that's the point.
Yeah, they love a guy.
Do those matter? Some, but you compromise on them. So you're not going to be like, putting these things out there of, I love porn, I love beer, I love this, that women are going to be like, okay, not attracted to you. No, you talk about the stuff that they're going to respond to. And obviously same thing in reverse. Yeah. Women are not going to be talking about, I love shoes, and I love purses, and I have, my favorite recipe is this, and like all of these things that, like, yes, I'm being extremely stereotypical because that's what a lot of people do. Yeah. Women's profiles, they're talking about how much they love shopping, how much they love yoga and food and travel.
Food's a big one out here. Food, travel.
Right. And for some guys, those are things that they're going to be like, yeah. But for a lot of guys, it's not.
Yeah. They're right.
And so that's one of the things I tell my female clients is, okay, let's sit down and talk about what are the qualities the guy you want would have. And then it's not usually he loves to travel. It might be adventurous, but that's not travel. That's different. That's like spontaneity. Right. And so it's always this thing of, sit down, make a list of the things you want in a partner that are not physical. I'm not talking about cup size. I'm not talking about how much they make or how tall they are, but the qualities, like the personality traits, you can say, or the habits.
Yeah.
And then you build a profile around that.
Okay.
Because, think about it for you. If you're personally doing this, it's a very different list to put up that just like, who is me versus, well, okay, who's the me that's going to attract the woman I really want? Yeah. That's a very different profile.
Yeah.
And so making a profile that shows those facets instead of, here's everything, sort through it, and I hope you find something interesting, which, by the way, no one will do. Not just like women will do it.
Oh,
no one will do it.
Yeah. Found one he likes. Okay, all right. I like that too.
Yeah. No. Even with photos, you can't do that. Most people, one or two bad photos, they're just like, no,
Yeah.
Which actually is not a bad way to go, but it's actually sort of in your best interest then to only put up amazing photos. Yeah. Which is a whole nother subject we can get into. Oh yeah, no, there's deep.
Yeah, I was like, because people think like that's what they. I think in my mind what online dating does is that it shows a person's face, what they look like, and I feel like everyone just looks at just physical appearance. Like they're just like.
A lot of people do. I mean, everybody does first.
Yeah.
The question is then there's different behaviors of like, do you just look at the first photo? Do you look at all the photos? Do you look at some of the photos, maybe all, and then the profile? And that has a lot of variation, particularly gender-wise. But everyone looks at photos first. It is literally the most important thing in online dating is your first photo.
Yeah. And there's like, Now, what do you suggest if let's say like, okay, so for that being that reason, is that a huge challenge for you? Because like now you're trying to, because if you're looking at someone's photo and you're trying to figure out who they are, like all these good qualities, you're not going to find out through the photo.
You
might.
If you have a good photo, you will. Okay, so theory number 2.
Yeah.
So photos, for online dating, photos have 4 purposes.
Yeah.
The first purpose is get you to the next photo, or then really the next thing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if your first photo is so bad, for whatever reason bad, it doesn't matter if everything else in your profile, including the photos, the text, everything is amazing. Because most people will never see it.
Yeah.
So every photo, most important purpose is get you to the next one.
Yeah.
Second thing is create chemistry.
Yeah.
Third thing is physical attraction, not second.
Oh, really?
And let me explain the distinction. I'm sure you know somebody who is not actually necessarily all that physically attractive, but everybody loves hanging out with him or her.
Yeah.
There's just, this is the phrase people use, there's something about him or there's something about her.
Yeah.
That's chemistry. So that's the difference between a photo where you're like,
just looking at just.
Yeah, well, and let me get in nice and close to the camera. It's the and the And there's a lot of different pieces of what chemistry looks like. It's getting really scientific. It's called the Duchamp lines, which are these crinkles right next to the eyes. And it's a real thing of when you smile for fake. Notice there's no movement. When I actually smile.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay.
And that's the way subconsciously people recognize a fake smile.
Yeah.
There's a couple other signs, but that is by far the biggest one.
Never thought of that.
Yep. I also so my graduate degree is in this crazy intersection of computer science and design called human-computer interaction.
Yeah.
So it's cognitive science and psychology and computer science and all this other stuff.
Jeez.
Essentially what it is about getting into people's heads to understand how they use computers, like those things, to do whatever they want. Now, be it dating, be it work, doesn't matter. It's just, how do I use technology?
Yeah.
So online dating coaching actually really delves into that a lot because so much of it is about, well, let me get into your head and also get into the person you want's head to try and understand, how are they viewing you? How are they looking at this? And that's part of how I got to that idea of most people build a profile from their own perspective, which is a massive mistake. They need to build it from her or his perspective to then be attractive.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're marketing yourself.
It is like marketing yourself, but the difference is it has to be authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, good marketing has to be authentic. Bad marketing is not.
Yeah.
But if it's not, you're going to get tons of first dates, and they will all hate you. And you won't have any fun either, because like you're going on the first date, and then, I don't know, she's like, so wait, why'd you drive a Honda instead of a Porsche that you told me you had? I mean, silly example, but that's what happens. Even if it takes the 6th date for that to happen. That is always what happens of like, well, wait a minute, this thing you said or this thing you showed isn't true.
Yeah.
And then it's backlash. It's not even just like, oh, bummer. It's like, oh, wow, what else isn't true? What else can't I trust about you?
Jeez. Okay. So necessarily, do people really remember everything that's in that profile when they meet you on the first date?
No. Well, I mean, it depends on how long your profile is, but generally, no.
It's like, you remember, I don't.
You would be surprised
really?
how much people. Yeah, because it's often the unique things that they're like, wait, but you said, and it's because it stood out to them. So particularly when you're like, I don't know, what would be a good, I have a Porsche, I have a beautiful dog, I live on a beach house, and I regularly, visit Europe once a month. And then, the person's on the date with you, and they say, what's your next travel plan? You're like, nothing. They're like, wait a second. You said you go to Europe every month.
I was like, oh.
Exactly.
Oh.
So, when you make that stuff up, it's bad.
Yeah.
So this is very much, it is marketing.
Yeah.
But it's marketing authentically.
Yeah.
I mean, another way to think of this is if I walk up to you and we're meeting for the first time at, I don't know, a bar or at a party, and I walk up to you and I say, hey, I'm Greg, I used to wet the bed. That is factually true. Am I marketing myself to you in a way that is going to work well? Unless we're in some context where super vulnerability around wetting the bed is really good. That's just going to be like, okay, that's nice. I'm going to go get a drink now.
Run away.
Right. But that's what a lot of us do is we just kind of go, well, here's everything I can think of about myself. Blah. And that's what we put on our profile.
Yeah.
And so then the effect is, there's a couple gems in there, but I mean, to quote Aladdin, it's a bunch of diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
And people are not interested in sorting diamonds from dross, from just the junk.
Yeah.
They're looking for ding, 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 ding. Here's things that I'm like, ooh, yeah. And by the way, to be clear, men do this just as much as women.
Dude.
The only thing that is women get it a little bit easier in this because men are often just looking photos first. Yeah. So as long as she's hot, the rest of it is like, does she sound boring? Does she sound like she's not interested in anything I am? She's hot.
It doesn't matter.
But honestly, most of the women that I work with, in fact, not even the ones I just work with, the ones I talk to at my workshops and, that I talk to just day to day, they'll tell you their problem is the opposite problem most guys have. It's not getting dates. Yeah. It's getting good dates. Because they go on dates with guys that either the guy bails or she meets him and then she's I'm not interested. So, it's a very different problem of, for most men, it's I'm trying to get more dates. Yeah. And for most women, it's I'm trying to get better dates. Yeah. But it's still equally frustrating. It's just a very different experience of frustration.
Like, I don't get enough.
Yeah.
Because I see most women out there, they do this thing where they expect the guy to pay for everything and pay for the dinner. They just go there for the meal and that's it. But it's like, all right, what do I do? Yeah. So I don't know what they're looking for when they look for that. They just try to just get.
That's always been a thing, but it's trending a little bit more lately.
I've been noticing now. That's been trendy now. Like when people meet these people on these online dates, they just go for the food and they just bail out after. So that's kind of, of course.
Yeah, remind me about that because I have some advice around that. But on the photos, we tangent a little bit. Yeah. So first is get to the next thing. Second is create chemistry. Third is create physical attraction, which does not have to be like boobs. It can be just, wow, you have nice eyes. Yeah. Wow, I love your hair. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just attraction to body as opposed to the fourth thing, which is shared interests. Okay. And that's the fourth thing. That's the last thing. That's the lowest thing. That's the thing that almost everyone does the most. Think about it. Most of the photos you see in online dating, look, here's me scuba diving. Look, here's me climbing. Look, here's me hiking.
I do that too.
Most of that stuff, the person is like this tall because they're in the middle of Yosemite, or they're scuba diving, so they're wearing a mask, they're wearing a snorkel, they're wearing a rebreather, they're wearing a wetsuit. You're just like, I guess that's you.
I can't see.
Yeah, and so that is a thing, but it is the thing that is the least useful. So think about it. If you saw a profile where every photo you were like, but every photo was completely just them, nothing that they're doing, here's me bicycling, here's my dog, you would still be really interested. Yeah. But most people go the other direction, which is, I'm going to put up a bunch of terrible photos that show me doing all these things, where you're like, all right, this is roughly the same as if you just had on your profile, I like hiking, I like biking, I like eating, and then you actually show me some photos of you rather than you doing things. Yeah. So with every photo, you want to hit at least one of those purposes, but really you want to try and hit two. Yeah. And again, shared interests are the least powerful thing. I mean, think about it. You've seen tons of profiles where you're like, oh, cool. You're into this that I am, and this that I like.
Yoga,
and I'm just not that interested in you. Yeah. So you have to create chemistry. You have to create physical attraction. You got to do at least one of those.
Yeah. It gets kind of intimidating when you see someone just don't know what to type. You're just like, what am I doing?
Well, yeah, that too. You can have the okay. So do you actually like work? Do you just are you just an adventure person all the time?
It's like, man.
So yeah,
when does it end?
Yeah.
Okay.
So picking those photos, if you do it right, if your first photo hits like particularly chemistry, and again get them to the next one, and then a bunch of your other photos are, create good chemistry or create physical attraction, and then show some interests, you can totally do everything using photos. Now, I don't recommend it, but it's just a waste of an opportunity.
Yeah.
But you could absolutely communicate, okay, I'm interested in learning. You have a photo of you where you're actually visible, you have a good expression, good lighting, etc., where it's, creating some physical attraction and chemistry, and then it's showing you in a lab. It's showing you in a classroom. It's showing you reading a textbook, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to do that. And that's one of the other things is, just like when I have my clients sit down and say, okay, what are the qualities I want?
Yeah.
And then what are the qualities of me, the habits, the personality traits that would attract that person? Then we say, okay, maybe some of those should be photos.
Yeah.
You're into, you want someone athletic and you are really into rock climbing or biking or whatever.
Yeah.
Great, take a photo of you standing next to a bike, leaning against a rock wall, climbing a wall, but not the traditional one where it's just your back, which is useless. But you're like hanging from the wall and smiling. And you're probably only like a foot off the ground, but who cares? But communicate those things. Could be in a photo, could be, okay, it's too hard for me to show in a photo. Great, put it on your profile. Or maybe great, put it on in first messages. Or it's even something that's really complicated, so put it in a first date conversation. But you put all that stuff in, you figure that stuff out, rather than, here's me, and then just there's all the signal and the noise. There's all the diamonds in the rough.
Everything. They're
And
just trying to figure it out.
people are just like, nah.
I don't have time. Too much stuff. So like for people who do online dating, you don't recommend to put like a whole paragraph, a whole bunch of things into a bio. Like, do you split short and simple?
Totally depends.
Okay.
And I would actually say longer is almost always better.
Yeah.
Because I mostly talk to men.
Okay.
Women, I have to tell sometimes to shorten it. But honestly, unless you're using OkCupid, Match, or a couple of others, there's a character limit anyway.
Yeah, there it is. Like
So,
500 words.
Yeah, and some of them are really short, and some of them are actually fairly long, and never.
It's like, I can't read all that. It's a lot to read,
Well, and here's the funny thing. Psychologically, men prefer lists, women prefer paragraphs. Which means, by the way, this is a generalization, so there are a bunch of women listening that are like, what? I prefer bulleted lists. I know, generalization. It's okay. But the funny thing is, that means men write the way we like, not the way women like. So men's profiles are mostly bulleted lists, which you would like my profile better if you read a bulleted list. The women I'm trying to attract will not. So
paragraph.
For men, I'm always like, no lists. You want to make it a paragraph. And for my ladies, I say the exact opposite. Stop writing paragraphs. Take out all the, when I do this, I like it. Just say, dash, rock climbing.
Oh, okay.
Because the guy's gonna the guy's gonna be like, oh, you climb, great,
cool.
And then once we do that, then there's ways of I actually have them add emotion because particularly in the Bay Area, a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of people in general, they don't really talk about emotion. They're just facts.
Yeah.
And emotion is actually what attracts you to a person. Doesn't matter if you're man or woman to a man or woman.
Yeah.
If you just say, I like rock climbing, a couple people will be like, cool.
Yeah.
If you say, I like rock climbing because I love the exhilaration of climbing up to the top and I slam that bell when I've finished the run, or whatever the rock climbing term is, finish the route, and then I just look down at the ground and I go, yeah! Way more people are excited by that than just the people that were like, I like rock climbing too. So focusing on that emotion to convey the thing versus just fact.
Yeah.
But men, we write the way we like.
We do.
Obviously, that's a human trait.
I do typically write bullet points and lists.
And that's because for us, it is actually a preferable way to consume information. It's just bit. Okay.
All right, done.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. I never even thought of that in my mind. Like, I do notice a lot of women like to put some women do put lists, but that's probably what they're,
that's why they're doing it.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah. So going back to something you said earlier, the whole date for dinner thing.
Oh, yes.
First dates, never do dinner. Never do a meal even.
Yeah.
And there's a really careful way I say this. You want to do a date that you're excited about, independent of the date. So let me just illustrate that. I love ice cream. So most of my first dates are ice cream, frozen yogurt, pastries, some kind of sweet thing.
Yeah.
So that if I go on the date and I don't like her, whatever the reason, she's rude, she's late, she's mean, it doesn't matter, but just we're not feeling chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm still having fun because I'm having some amazing chocolate brownie ice cream with caramel on top. I'm just like, would it be better if we were, staring into each other's eyes completely in love? Of course.
Yeah.
But you want to go on dates where you will have fun even if the person you're on the date with is not.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah.
Second, dates are expensive if you go to dinner every
Especially
time.
in the Bay Area.
And particularly not just money expensive, but time.
Yeah.
Particularly, so most people, when they think of dinner, they don't think of okay, we're going to Chipotle, it's going to be like an hour. It's, drinks first, appetizers, meal, maybe some desserts, couple bottles of wine. And so you're talking an hour and a half to 3 hours. It's not the right time to do that.
Yeah.
Do that on the third date, maybe the second date.
Yeah.
But for the first date, you don't want to promise, hey, we're going to dinner. So you start with, let's go meet in the park. Let's go get ice cream. And it doesn't have to be something sweet. Sweet actually is a little bit of a special thing. I can come back to that. But overall, it could be just something, 30-ish minutes of expectation. Yeah. And then if you meet and you're like, wow, this is so much fun. I'm having a great time. Hey, so by the way, now that we're done with our ice cream, there's this really good Thai restaurant nearby. You want to go get dinner? That's totally fine. Yeah. I'm not saying don't have dinner, but don't plan dinner as the first date. Because then, honestly, 5 minutes into a date, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, I don't really want to spend an hour with this person.
That happens.
And that's not, a good or bad thing. Right. It just is. People make pretty quick snap judgments. Yeah. And there are definitely two kinds of people. One kind of person immediately knows if there's chemistry, and one kind of person takes a while to figure it out. Yeah. And regardless of which one you are, you don't want to plan dinner as the first thing because you're just stuck. Yeah. And it's, again, too much of an investment up front. Yeah. You want to be able to make, okay, do I like you? Am I having fun with you? Yeah, great. We can talk about doing dinner now. Yeah. But you don't want to have that be the upfront plan.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely a good tip for a lot of people who typically go on those dates, the first date, do dinner, the whole thing. And I think a lot of guys who can afford it, like, yeah, I should show that I have this and have this, so I'm going to do this. And it's just unfortunate, like, you don't have to do all that. Just
no. and even aside from, wanting to show, like, I have the financial means to support you and, that, think of it from her perspective. And you realize she actually generally doesn't want a dinner date as the plan for the first date because she doesn't know if she's going to like you. Yeah. So she's feeling trapped. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, so you're going to meet a strange man who you're kind of excited by, kind of not, and you're going to spend 2 hours with him. What? Are you kidding me? So, from her perspective, that's depending either dangerous or at least potentially incredibly boring.
Yeah, could be. Really.
So, from no one's perspective, is dinner on the first date as the plan a good idea? Yeah. You want to start with, hey, we're going to go here and, get something sweet. We're going to go here and get, like, a bite to eat. Yeah. We're going to, drinks are okay. I don't really recommend drinks, but they're okay. Dinner is not the way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, man, dropped a lot of knowledge here, man. I'm actually like, some good tips for all you guys. If you guys are listening in and watching us, I'll put both of these on here. But I don't think I have any other questions. And you pretty much the topic today, guys, was talking about online dating. I didn't even tell anybody, but like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just like, oh, okay, we're just gonna go into it. All right, let's say, guys, that's the topic. I'll probably post that on my Instagram. But that was the topic. It was supposed to be about online dating. I know we kept it pretty short for what I know he has a lot of different information, a lot of different science, different philosophies, different theories, and we can't get into all of it all into one episode. But if you guys really want to tune into that, I would suggest, if you guys Bay Area natives, I recommend going to his workshops. I'm not sure what day you have your workshops. What
days do I have my workshop?
Yeah.
Easiest way to look at
Your website?
debugdating.com/VIP, because I've got a couple of workshops coming up, one in Palo Alto and one in San Francisco.
Okay.
I think it's the first Monday in May. Let me see if I can actually look it up.
Yeah. And I'll put the link of that on there on my
Yeah, the
Instagram.
Palo Alto one is the 29th of April, which is Monday, and then the San Francisco one is the 6th of May. And the San Francisco ones, I'm located in San Francisco.
Okay.
So every first Monday,
Yeah.
May, June, July, probably continuing on after that, I'm going to be doing workshops.
Cool, man. Yeah, because I would definitely like, man, that what you just gave me in like that 45 minutes to compile. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I feel like changing my whole it's my own
and
Tinder
that's
profile
the idea.
now.
Yeah.
I'm like changing everything now. Like, I did that wrong.
Yeah. Well, and I do different kinds of workshops for different reasons.
Yeah.
These workshops I'm talking about are literally a deep dive where we do basically what I just said, but we do it together.
Okay.
So I'm literally asking you, like, okay, brainstorm the qualities that you want.
Yeah.
And then you make a list. And I go, okay, pick the first quality. What's something are you straight? What, so a man or a woman is going to admire about you or see in you when they have that quality, when she's ambitious, I don't know. What's she going to see in you that she's going to be like, ooh, and you make a brainstorm of that. And then we go, okay, so let's, look through each of those things.
Yeah.
Is that like a profile thing? Is that a photo thing? Is that a first date thing? Is that a message thing?
Yeah.
And then you go home and you come up with, okay, here's a photo of me that's going to show how I do a podcast, and that would attract a woman who's ambitious.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Okay.
And so then you put up a photo of yourself from shot across the room of you doing a podcast, and it's like, and this ambitious woman would be like, ooh, yeah, mover and shaker, doing a podcast, nice,
right?
So that's the kind of thing we do in those workshops.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I also do others that are much more about connecting with other people, because a big piece of this is having that empathy to be able to get into their head, and that's a skill you have to build. And then I also do coaching programs. I do a 100-day-long coaching program, because this stuff takes time. Like, it's not a, boom, done. Yeah. You have infinite dates now. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
It's a process, and I think
that's
why it's called coaching.
Exactly, and it's iterative. Yeah. Like, particularly, I'm a geek, so I look at it as a process. Yeah. You put up this photo of you doing the podcast, and then you notice your match rate went down. Okay, let's take it out. Try putting a different photo in, or it went up, but now you're getting women that are, I don't know, too ambitious in some way. And you're like, whoa, okay, too much of this trait, tone it down. So there's all this tweaking.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I deal a lot in metaphors, because people look at online dating and they kind of think of it as like slot machines in Vegas. Yeah. There is a single thing you do. You pull the handle, or really you swipe right or you swipe left.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And that's not true. Online dating is actually much more like, a nuclear submarine or a power plant. Like, there's all these buttons and dials and knobs. Yeah. But most people just see one handle. And so part of the coaching is teaching them, here's all the different knobs. And in fact, we need a new knob, which is to tune how ambitious this woman is. Great. Boom, you got a new knob there. That photo, that's this setting. This other photo, that's this setting. Let's find a middle ground. Yeah, there was actually a client that it wasn't ambitious that we did with that, but there was one client who specifically said, I want classier women. And it was funny because he took a while to kind of get to that descriptor. Yeah. But he was like, they're too casual, they're too this, they're too that. Yeah. And I finally just said, like, it sounds like you want classier women. And he said, yeah, actually, that's right. And so we started taking down a bunch of photos that he had of things like him in, a t-shirt. And we put up a photo of him at the opera wearing like a nice jacket, not a suit, but just like a nice jacket. Yeah. And it had a little bit of effect. He's getting more classy women. So we doubled down. We put up a photo of him wearing an actual suit from a wedding, I think. Yeah. I don't remember. And then, took a photo down of him working in his office, which is like, look at me, I'm in a cube farm, yay. And put up a photo of him actually still at the office, but shot with this beautiful blurred background. So you don't notice their cubicles. It's just like, it's just kind of a neutral background. Yeah. He's wearing this really nice leather jacket, and he's looking at the camera, not, like, I'm a model. But he's just looking at the camera like, yeah. But so many of his, photos before were t-shirts, were, beach, that kind of thing.
Like, you're getting casual women for that.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And so, all of a sudden he's just start getting this way more women that are classy, that are interested in the arts. And he was like, yeah, this is working. Yeah. And that's what we do.
Dang, okay. Well, that's good, man. How many clients do you have now, total now?
So I actually set it up so I do both group and private coaching in that 100-day program.
Yeah.
And I keep it pretty small because I want to make sure that I can actually talk to everyone. Yeah. So, if I do a group call with 18 people, like everybody just gets no time.
Yeah.
So I keep those like 4 or 5 guys and 4 or 5 girls at a time.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to make sure, okay, everybody gets time.
Yeah.
And then there's also a bunch of stuff we didn't even get into around the way you think about dating.
Yeah.
And particularly, being able to tell stories around these things.
Yeah.
But also thinking of it as this is not, I'm trying to prove I'm good enough for you.
Yeah.
And by the way, women do this too. This is not just a thing men do,
Yeah.
but men think about it much more often. I'm trying to win you, all of that kind of stuff. It's about, are we a good fit? And if we're not, yeah, maybe it's a bummer, but we shouldn't stay together because we're not a good fit.
Yeah.
And, really treating dating as a process.
Yeah.
Like there's a phrase, dating is a numbers game. And most people, when they hear that, what they take from it is dating is soulless, dating is emotionless, dating is just about like put in, literally, slot machine, put in enough quarters, pull the handle enough times, you'll get a winner. And, that is totally missing the point. It is a numbers game. But it is a numbers game because you're looking for someone who's a good fit, not because you take the emotion out. But because of that phrase, and frankly the trueness of that, people often get really frustrated with dating, particularly online dating. And so then they're just like, okay, it's not working. It's probably something about me because humans internalize most things. Yeah. And so, screw it, I'm out. And then, they give up. And it's okay to take a break. I definitely tell my clients to take breaks when they're really frustrated. Yeah. But it's also really important to be focusing on, am I attracting the right people? Men or women, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Am I attracting the right people? And if I'm not, how do I do that? And when I meet someone and they're not that, how do I recognize that? And then let them go, not, kick them to the curb, not make it about me and like, oh, I went on another terrible date. I'll never find someone. Like, I've been there, I get it. But that's not the way to date because that will make it so your life is hard and it sucks. And dating is it's going up, it's amazing, it's terrible, it's awful, it's amazing, it's terrible, it's amazing, it's terrible.
That's usually how it is.
And so really changing the way you think about dating to be this process, a long-term process. Yeah. And that, again, that's why I do 100 days, like basically a little more than 3 months. Yeah. Because it's not a thing of, boom, you're good.
You got one. You got a girl, you got a person, you found your person. Everyone like Oprah, like.
Exactly. You have a person and you have a person, you have a person. No, it's a process that takes time. And, if I have 100 days with you, I can support you through that. If I try and do, 1 week turnaround, it's like, if that's the first step, great. But you're not going to be, you got a new girlfriend, you got a new boyfriend.
Good job. I'm done. No, my job is done. Okay, so for our listeners and people who are watching, now, is there any kind of package or maybe something we can give out to our listeners or?
Yeah, so actually what I was going to do is if they come to one of the VIP workshops, if they put in podcasts into the, Eventbrite little coupon, and I'll give you a link that has
it. Cool.
Yeah, if they put in podcast, PODCAST. Podcast.
I'll hashtag it for you guys.
Yeah, they'll get 20% off.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah. There you go, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know a lot of people who've asked questions. I'm like, hopefully it brings a value to them because I have a lot of people ask me. I know I'm not. This is the expert.
Yeah.
Yep. He's the one to go to for that. And definitely I encourage you guys to do that. I'll put the link on there for you guys as well. Yeah. That way, share it out there. That's it. I think we're gonna probably wrap things up in a bit. But is there anything else you want to add to us, Greg? Any kind of last?
I could go for hours, so that's probably a good spot to stop. I guess actually one last thing. Yeah. We talked a lot about the outer work, your profile, that kind of stuff. We talked a little bit about the inner work. Yeah. There's one more thing I want to talk about with the inner work. Yeah. Most men that come talk to me, say they don't feel confident in dating.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of different opinions on how you build confidence, one of which is literally you can't just go screw up until you get there.
Yeah.
I don't completely agree with that, but what I actually believe is to build confidence, it definitely is not something you can do in isolation. So part of what I have them do is they build these stories of, I host a podcast, and let me talk about that in a way that you're going to find attractive. Yeah. And then you use it, you put it on your profile, you talk about it with women on first dates, you talk about it at parties with men and women. Yeah. And as you get feedback on that, the story gets better, but also your confidence grows. And so one of the things that I've had a really good example of with that, there was a guy a while back, he was working on his PhD. Yeah. And he was not great at talking to women at parties. Yeah. And he had this thing, I won't go into the whole story, but he had this thing where he created a computer program to write Shakespearean script. And so he would talk about this, right, it's impressive. Yeah. He would talk about it in this way that's talking about all of the algorithms he used and all the computer science jargon, and like 2 sentences in, anyone who was not working on a PhD in computer science, their eyes are just completely glazed over. And so we do this, and we work on the story, and I'm taking out, don't talk about the algorithm, don't talk about this, don't focus on the emotions, focus on the things that people can connect with. Yeah. That was one coaching call. The next coaching call, he gets on. He goes, "You're not going to believe this. What's going on?" He said, "I went to a party over the weekend. I went to 2 parties, actually. And I got 2 numbers at those parties. I have never gotten a number at a party." And the way he did it was he was not talking about the algorithm, the implementation, the neural networks that it's based on, which I'm a nerd. I was like, really? Tell me more. Hey. But he's talking about, people will be like, he basically just set up a projector or a big screen at a party, and it showed the script. He stood in front of it with a friend, and they were fencing with like pool noodles or something, reading this script and having the greatest time, and the whole party is laughing and having a great time. And he tells that story at these parties over the weekend, and it totally, the women he told it to were just like, "Oh wow, that's so cool!" And he got 2 numbers.
Dang. Okay.
And so excuse me, it's not just like, okay, we need to get you confident. Here is a confidence injection. You feel confident now. No, it's this process of like you do the work of building a story that is real, and then you tell it, and people respond, and so you get a little more confident. So you tell that story more, you make the story better, people respond more, and so that's a big piece of it. Is that inner work comes from actually just taking these, some of these tools and applying them, and then seeing the effect, and then having that grow. And there's a lot more, inner work stuff that we could talk about. we're almost of an hour now. I don't want to talk too long. So,
definitely. If you guys want, I would recommend it because there's a lot of knowledge there at the workshops. Yeah. I'm just going to keep pushing it to some workshops because I'm like, man, sheesh. All right. But and that's really good. I think confidence is a huge thing. I actually had someone who was a podcaster who was on here. She was on earlier. She actually has something that helps build up women in confidence. Yeah. It's powerful. I get a chance. I'm actually gonna throw it to her episodes on there too, on her SoundCloud. But yeah, I think confidence is a huge part of it. I think my live stream is ending soon. But that's it, man. Next episode, I'll post a promo for the next episode topic. I'll probably figure that out at some point. But thank you for coming on, Greg. Awesome to have you on here. We've been talking. I was like, I've been waiting to get him on here. I'm like, we gotta get Greg on here. We gotta get this going. I'm so excited to have you on, and much appreciated for giving something for the listeners too. So I'll post the link and everything on there. But that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time. All right, bye. Take it easy. 1 minute.